Hello, this is Demon Phoenix, back again on my No Armour Deathmatch playthrough. And just going to be starting things off now. At the end of the last episode, I'd not played the quest in so long that I was actually struggling to remember how you progress it and everything. So it was quite interesting. And I just managed to figure that out, so should be okay now. But just checking that the audio is coming through everything here, and then we're going to be following Daya. I did put Daya, change Daya into a Lubberkin, because I just prefer doing it that way. I actually think if you're bothered about the difficulty of how to do it, Roach, what are you doing, sweetheart? We're trying to start a stream. Jeez. Anyway, so I actually think it's a little bit better to do it that way. It's easier to deal with the wraiths and then just Axie afterwards than it is to try and take on everything else where you have to change the botchling and it transforms, and it actually becomes quite hard to actually beat the botchling, and then on top of that you have to do the blood ritual with the pillar and then actually of wraiths anyway, so it's not like that bit's any easier afterwards. So okay, so just check that that's all okay, which it seems to be, and we're just going to carry on and follow Daya here. And we've meditated as well. So yeah, I don't know if the game is glitching out at the end of the last episode and not letting me press A to sit and wait and to get transformed, or if it was just being dumb as hell. But basically I couldn't progress it, so that's why I had to cut the last episode ever so slightly short. Just to sort that out. So a lot of what we've got left to do here, we've just got to go and find Tamara and Oxenfurt after doing this bit. Most of the enemies are here in necrophages. A lot of the early quests in the game do feature necrophages as the main enemies, them being drown, those being water hags and stuff like that. So yeah, one of the things I'm actually going to try, I was thinking about it in the last episode, but one of the things that I was actually discussing was that I haven't really got a good use out of gourmet. It's more for convenience more than anything else. And really you get so many food items in the games. If you ever watched my Deathmatch walkthrough or watched that, I do say that gourmet is one of the most powerful skills. But thinking about it, I've been using food relatively infrequently here. And you can get a lot of food items very early in the game anyway. So I was just thinking that actually I might try without gourmet for a little bit, because I really just don't think it's necessary. Because of how many food items you get. Again, it's more of a convenience thing, but if you stay on top of it in battle, then you keep using food items to top your health up and it shouldn't really be a problem. So just going to try it, and that gives me the arrow deflection skill, and also more importantly it gives me another boost with the werewolf mutagen. So just going to try switching that for now. Water and raw meat is obviously extremely plentiful, so you can use those early in the game. I just feel like as good as gourmet is, on top of it being like really cheap, if you're struggling you need a lot of healing. If you're not struggling you're not needing a lot of healing, which I haven't really so far. It's just not really necessary. Managed to get the ENDREGAs burning, which is helpful. Couple of lesser blue mutagens, which is always useful. I mean, the thing about gourmet is really the convenience. Like you can see they're very easy to heal, but it's just the convenience of not having to redo it every time. So I don't know, I might put it back on just for the convenience factor, but especially since I spent the ability point on it. But we'll see how we go. A quick note is that whenever you're putting oils on your sword, it's any strike will use a charge of that oil. So even though I was fighting the ENDREGAs there and I didn't switch over to an insectoid oil, which I might not actually have had so far, now that I think about it, I might not have had that one yet, but... It's always worth just checking that you've got the correct oil on there. Again, the Rot Fiends, they can be very difficult, but if you make sure that you're just getting a ton of damage on, always have Quen on as a precaution, especially with the the different types of Rot Fiends. Like you have, these are the basic Rot Fiends, and they're a bit tricky because of how much the exploding attack that they have, the exploding death animation does. But like the higher level Rot Fiends, like you have Drowners and then you have higher level ones like Drowned Dead. Well, with Rot Fiends you have higher ones, you have normal Rot Fiends, and then you have higher ones which are things like Scurvers, and they have like spikes instead of just regular Rot Fiends. You fight those in Blood and Wine, and maybe at some other points of the game. You definitely fight and wine, but you have to be really, really careful with Scurvers. They will actually one-shot you, like, from nowhere. Like, so always try and keep Quen up at all times. If you're struggling or you need that bit of extra damage, don't forget to keep going replenishing your necrophage oil, but wasn't really necessary there. And you find that these parts here, where you're fighting the necrophages quite early, it's a very good idea just to, when you're fighting the Rot Fiends, you can get necrophage hides, which are actually extremely valuable, and can also be dismantled by a master armourer into 2 separate monster hides. So get as many necrophage hides as you can. If you're okay with actually killing the Rot Fiends and you're able to keep your distance and avoid their exploding when they die, I would definitely recommend you take on as many of the Rot Fiends as you can. These ones are compulsory for this quest, but also to do the Kira's missions after you've finished her main quest, because it is a good source of money and items for that. So just give me 1 sec. Okay. So just going to mention this because we're pretty early in the episode, but there are some wolves to fight here, but if you call Roach you can just ride past them, as I'm going to do now. And again, in episode 2 of my Deathmatch walkthrough, or in the early episodes of this, you saw that when I got to Velen, straight away I just got the Ophiri saddles and saddlebags. So don't let Roach's fear get too high. A wolf chasing me, but it'll fall back a little bit, and that's okay. And again, a few things to grab here. I believe there's an alchemy recipe as well. Might as well grab a buckthorn while it's right here. You don't really need a lot of buckthorn. The killer whale potion. Elemental oil, that's relatively useful. Lesser Triglav rune stones, I've mentioned a few times, you get a lot of those relative to the other stones, and if you sell them to the correct armor, then you can get as much as 102 crowns for each one. So I've already sold quite a few of those because I find that if you're looting everything, you end up getting a lot more of the you ever end up using. So with this playthrough being pretty much a strictly no armor playthrough as well, I'll never have a lot of use for the runes as well. So it's not really necessary for me to keep any of the runes. I could sell those if I need extra coin and things like that, because I'm not going to be putting them into any armor because I'll not be wearing any armor. So it's another thing. I should be even, like, normally you can get a ton of money anyway, and again, if you watch my making money early video on YouTube, that's a very popular video and has helped some people, so I'm quite pleased with that one. But there are certain things that you can do that can let you have a lot of money very early on. And I've already done a fair few of them here. and I'm at 2,800 crowns. And so in this particular playthrough, I'll have more money anyway, because whilst I will be crafting the swords later on, I'll be crafting the griffin swords and using some of the witcher swords to deal more damage. I won't be crafting any of the armor because I'm not wearing any armor, so that'll save me some money as well. And again, like I say, I won't need the glyphs, so I can always sell some of those if I need them as well. So a day has gone there. We've just completed that first part of the Bloody Baron's quests. Grab a herb here. It's Genesia petals. So we're going to go back to the Baron. We've got to find Tamara as well. I might just do this part first and then fast travel back to Midcopse to see Kira. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I can get the Gwent card from Stepan at the same time. So that'll be useful to do. So let me see. I don't have a fast travel point for there, so I can either fast travel to the Hangman's Tree and then ride across or way, but I'd have to cross the river at some point anyway, and I don't have the pass for doing that yet, I don't think. I might have got it from the Baron actually. Let's have a look. Probably do have the pass from the Baron already. Let's have a look. One of the things I actually do want to do at the same time is, where are we here? I might just fast travel because there is something that I do want to check. I'm just going to have a quick look. There is a herbalist that you can get who has a Hearts of Stone quest. And let me just find that. He has some interesting recipes that you can buy from him sometimes. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go and do that one first, and then I'll travel to Oxford for afterwards. So yeah, so as I was saying before, there's also a herbalist in. There's also a herbalist in on the big main circular road in the lower part of Novigrad, and basically the lower part of Novigrad, he has some interesting recipes. I checked already in this playthrough, and he has some of the enhanced ones. So at some point, I'll be wanting to buy the enhanced necrophage oil recipe from him, and hopefully at some point I'll be finding the hanged well, because I could do with having that one. That's a very useful one. There are a lot of recipes and you can find in the areas on the west coast of Velen. There is a bunch of undiscovered locations all grouped together. So because I won't need the Hangman's Venom oil for doing Kira's quest, because there are no human enemies in that. So what I'll probably end up doing is wandering in the Dark Quest, and then going to if I've not got Hangman's Venom by the end of that, I might go and clear out some of those undiscovered locations there. So this is the Vagelbud residence, and this has a useful marker here as well. So this is a good one for fast traveling too. It's equidistant between a few different things. So I'll just loot in here if there's anything, which there isn't. Go and get the marker. I will make my way to the herbalist and call Roach back over here. So there's the marker. That's the one I want to trigger. That's a useful one. There is a side quest over there in that little village of Karsten, but I don't want to be doing that yet because I believe it's a level 8 or 9 quest. So I could probably take it on, but I don't want to do that just yet. Or maybe I do be cocky and take it on. Let's have a see. So this is Karsten. Again, the enemies here will be ghouls, and so they're necrophages as well. So a lot of the enemies in the early going are actually necrophages. So now these might be a little high level for me. If they're red skulls, then this will have proved to be a stupid decision, but we will see. Okay, let's see what this is. I really can't remember what level this is. If they're sort of level 8, then I'm alright. If they're level 10, then they might be Red Skull. And they're level 11. I am so stupid. Oh well. This is going to be stupid. Very, very stupid. What have I done? Okay. So this is going to be keeping Quinn up at all times, dodging in close proximity. Trying to inflict poisoning on these things and gradually wear them down. I might not have any repair kits yet. I have got one. Right, okay, so this is going to take a very large amount of patience. And one of the other things that I might want to do is... my sound intensity won't really be high enough to burn them. So, I'm going to have to be... yeah, so sound intensity. This is the thing that makes Quen so busted. It will take any one hit. So, you can always get a hit with Quen. The Poison Blade skill would have been very useful here, but I don't have it yet. So, yeah. I'm going to keep my adrenaline up. I don't have any skills that are using up adrenaline at the minute, so that's going to make it useful because if I do get clocked, hopefully Undying, which will be tested out and should actually work. So you've got to make sure that you're doing as much damage as possible, getting these strikes in, and... this is where muscle memory is quite helpful as well. So this is, you know, part of the reason that people say that the Witcher 3's combat isn't good is they are referring to this kind of thing where you can just dodge and strike a lot. But I actually think that although the dodge is a little bit too good, it's still very interesting to be taking on higher level enemies and things like this. So let's just keep going, dodge about while we were Quen. I try and avoid rolling as much as possible because dodging is essentially free for your stamina. You can dodge as much as you want. Oh, sorry, just one sec, need to concentrate. Just use Tony Owl there so I can keep Quen up and get some strikes in. And obviously, as I whittle them down, it'll be a little bit easier. So they're actually recovering a lot of health, which is a... So I'm going to try and get them burnt. And if I can inflict burning on them, then that will take up a lot of the health regeneration and stop them from recovering health. But yeah, because they're higher level, it's a bit harder for me to actually inflict burning on them. So it might be very difficult for me. As you can see, I've done tons of damage already, but they're just recovering it too quickly, really. So I'll see if I can take them out. If not, I might have to reload the save or anything else. Without Poison Blaze, this might be a little bit tricky. I might not actually be able to out-damage them properly, so that could be a problem. They're just recovering too much health, I think, so... So they're not going to kill me, but I'm not going to kill them either. I may just have to reload this little bit. So normally if you have enemies that are recovering their health like this, the only way you'd really be able to kill them is to constantly attack them and inflict the poisoning. But that do. So you see there, Undying actually used up all my adrenaline there, so that's interesting for having that skill. But now they're recovering again. So first death, trying to take on 4 Red Skull enemies at once. Probably not the wisest. Never mind. I was actually going to try and do this playthrough as no deaths, but if you can't remember the level of a quest, then you kind of deserve to die if you're doing that as well. So never mind. So for the record, that Karsten quest is level 11. And we'll not be trying that. I could have tried a little harder there just to keep regeneration up and keep dodging, but it was quite clear that I wasn't going to be able to out-damage them. So even if you play things pretty perfectly some of the time, there are some things that you just can't out-damage. So you have to be careful with that. Like the only way I could have out-damaged those really would have been to try and inflict bleeding and poisoning because they were too high level for me to be able to burn really. So apart from maybe trying Dancing Star and the Devil's Puffball, that was going to be pretty tricky there, but never mind. So just going to reload, and I'll just carry on as I was before and just head to the herbalist to get some recipes there. So yeah, if you're playing on Deathmatch, particularly on No Armour, then you would have to be careful about what you do. And there are some things where if you're taking on a big pack of enemies, particularly like that where they can regenerate, just a bit too tricky to do. So, bit of a shame. Never mind. So we'll get Roach back. And she gets stuck on a fence. And on we go. I'll get the marker for the Vagelwood estate. I don't have to bother jumping off Roach this time, because obviously I know there's nothing for me to be picking up there. And we'll avoid casting for the meantime. Instead of going for pure damage, you could instead go with alchemy for the poison blade skill early on, because poison blades can let you do quite a lot of damage and inflict poison a lot more regularly with the correct oil, so that is pretty useful. But again, just depends how you want to go. I may get poison blades a little bit later, because I probably will be getting acquired tolerance, because that is the best skill in the game in my opinion. Acquired tolerance is incredible because for every alchemy recipe you've learned, it will actually increase your toxicity when you have acquired tolerance equipped, so it's extremely good. Grab these, a bunch of herbs all in one place, quite useful to grab. Verbena is another one that is quite common in certain parts of the sort of map, but not in others. I believe these are Arenaria, so we'll grab a few of those. You always want Arenaria. And a little bit of hand fibre as well. That's for a separate Hearts of Stone quest, one of the Hearts of Stone story quests, about planning the Borsodi heist. And we'll just do this bit first and see what he's got. So, he has some bison grass, I'll buy that just in case. Enhanced cursed oil, dimeritium, enhanced salmon. Moon dust is quite useful, could do with that, but I may find it normally anyway. Maribor and the Golden Oriole. I can deal without having either of those at the minute. Wyvern Decoction can be quite useful. Each blow landed increases attack power until the fight ends or damage other than toxicity is taken. And that would be particularly good because this playthrough is mainly focused around dodging and everything else. So, could use that one. Sell a couple more Alchemist Powder because he gives a pretty decent price for them. Okay. So he didn't have anything that I was actually going to buy there, but he does have a few that I could potentially buy them elsewhere. And I get another go card, so. And he has a pretty weak deck, so should be able to win this pretty easily. Based on the first. The Scoia'tael deck is not far off being a really good deck, but it's just not as powerful as the others. Make him play a bunch of cards here and then just double up using the siege. I'll keep one of those decoys in case he plays that spy with a medic in the next round. I would think that I'd probably win. And see, this is one of the things that the Scoia'tael deck's extremely vulnerable to. If they don't have a clear weather card, then you can very, very easily beat them just by using siege cards and using weather on the other rows, because they don't have any siege cards apart from the Shrew Hearts of Stone card, which is an excellent card, but they added probably because it was a bit of an unbalanced deck. Very susceptible to siege cards and weather on the first two rows. And because that card was only added in Hearts of Stone, nobody ever knows how to. Let me just find this quest for Stepan. I'm sure there's a Gwent one about innkeeps. There we go. Let me just get Roach back wherever she is. Roach! Yes, she is. Come on. Come on, sweet. Anyway, so it's very easy to beat a lot of these Scoia'tael players, especially if you have a deck that's quite heavily focused on weather, which I actually don't. I prefer a sort of brute strength deck, and have a better chance of pulling the strong cards into your hand because you don't have weather cards. So weather can be extremely useful, but it can miss, so let's have a see. It's another one where it might be a little bit too high level, but we'll see.
Interesting back call.
Right, so that's level 10, so we nearly didn't have red skull enemies for those ghouls, so I would have actually been able to take them out okay, but sadly not to be. I wonder if I'll get an actual wyvern decoction from this as well, which would mutagen from this actually, which would let me make the wyvern decoction and could be. Yeah, so we do get a wyvern mutagen, that's useful. That can be used as a red mutagen, as a lesser red mutagen. I'll keep that for now, but I may end up making the decoction later. So you can't gallop in Oxenfurt, so I'll just have to make my way across here. If you try and come to Oxenfurt first, you'll enter in the city and you can get a side quest called You Shall Not Pass if you come from the other side of the city. But obviously I wouldn't get that now because I already have the pass from the Bloody Baron. But if you do that beforehand, that's a way to get a little bit of extra experience. But I haven't been to Oxenfurt yet, so it wasn't something I did here. Don't want to be looting any of this stuff because there are guards all over the place. So he's playing Scoia'tael. So I may keep that impenetrable fog card because it will actually be quite useful versus him. And the Scoia'tael has a lot of cards that are around a similar strength, so it's sometimes a good idea to keep the Scorch card as well. If you want to use a Scorch card and you've already got the highest scoring card, you can try and take the highest scoring card off with a decoy if you want. Which is exactly what I've done there. And he's just wasted that Scorch card there because there's no need for us to do that. Okay, so it's 5-all, but they're going to have to play at least a couple of cards to be able to win that round. They've played the one there. And that means that in this round I can actually play my use my decoy to play the spy after they've used up their card. So I'm just using that first to waste turns. And then after they've used their last card, I'll decoy the spy and then win that way. Still a little bit annoyed about losing to those ghouls. I should have. It was extremely difficult, obviously, but if you don't want to use up repair kits early in the game, you will end up normally getting quite a lot of repair kits. You start looting them a lot as you go on. But if you want instead, you can repair things instead. So. Anything to sell to this guy? A little bit. See, like I say, I'm not using these in anything, so I could sell a few of these if I needed some extra coin. Not going to make any difference. I'll save them for now, but there really isn't much point, so I might sell these a little later. Always want to dismantle any shells you get, as we said in the previous episode. There's extremely useful. Going to keep gold and silver for the most part and just dismantle them a little bit later. And then you can get things repaired there as well. See, it would actually cost me to repair these, but because I'm only wearing them purely for the aesthetics. They don't provide any resistances, and the armor rating is non-existent, so there's no point me repairing those. So I'm just going to repair my swords and ignore the other stuff there. So a few other people to play in Gwent as well, but seeing as how I'm here to mainly play Stepan, I'll just play him first, and then I can add Yennefer to my deck because she is an excellent card. Few things to read there as well. And this is Stepan, and he has a really good deck, so he's a lot of fun to play. See if we can sell anything to him first. He normally gives pretty good prices for things, as I remember. Here's some Scoia'tael cards and stuff there as well. So yeah, sell that saddle because that takes up a lot of inventory room and just not really necessary. And you can normally sell stuff like this to him. So again, I normally compare how much people buy pig hides for. 6 is average, 8 is good, and 9 is very high in Velen. So he sells things for about as high prices as anybody does. So he buys things for high prices. So it's always worth the people who have the higher priced items. So I made a good bit of money there, and then play him at Gwent as well.
You play Gwen? No.
I like how they always say in these quests that it's for high stakes, but actually it isn't at all, because you don't like triple triad in Final Fantasy VIII or anything like that. So that was about as good a swap as I could have asked for. Although I could have kept the impenetrable fog card. I did think at the time that maybe I should have kept it in case they get that, but never mind. That's Villain Tretemeth, which is the incredible melee card that scorches your opponents if they've got +10. So he's going to use Impenetrable Fog there, which is quite sound tactically, but because he's already used Villain Tretemeth, I can just use these without fear of being scorched, unless he actually has a scorch card in that now, without scorching that one. So he's used Biting Frost as well there. I'm just going to take one of these back so I can play these in the next 2 rounds. And he's also wasted the Yennefer card there because he doesn't have anything in his deck to bring back, so he should have kept that one for the next round. And the same, so he's wasting all of his cards and all of his medics, so actually I will be able to beat Stepan probably pretty easily. So he's past this, I'll have 4 cards to his 1. And unless he's got to bring back the Dijkstra card, there's not a lot he can actually do. Right, so he's brought back the Dijkstra card there. That'll give him 2 more cards. But again, he'll have to play at least one of them to win this round, and then he'll only have one card in the next round as well. So unless he has a spy, I should again be pretty good to go there. Which he doesn't, so that's all of his cards gone, and I win this. So that's Stepan defeated, and he gives us the Yennefer card, and she is a fantastic card because she's a neutral card like most of the hero cards are, and she is a medic as well, so she adds a medic to any deck, so it just makes the Nilfgaard and Northern Realms decks even better by giving them yet another medic. And she's also useful for the Scoia'tael deck. And pretty much all the decks, so as soon as you get Yennefer you can put her straight into your deck and she's extremely useful. So I'll just do this and then I think it's probably time for me to go and do Wandering in the Dark.
Wanted to.
So again, got some pretty powerful cards there. So it should be okay. This guy's a pretty weak deck from what I remember, so. And so I'll have an extra card from winning that round. Can use that to play Gaunter. I could have played the Catapult first, just to stop him from being able to scorch it. But not really necessary, because he could do something like that. Probably win this one pretty easily, but we'll just see how it goes.
just going to pass this one because I'd very easily be able to win the next round anyway. So either they'll use up all their cards and not be able to win anyway, or I'll win the third round easily. So looks like I'll be able to win just from them running out of cards because he has a very poor deck. So. Missed what card I got there. Let's. Solano Harpy, what a terrible card. So I keep getting nothing but the random wins. It keeps being pretty much nothing except terrible monster deck cards this playthrough. So, yeah, not the best. So we played Stepan already. Got the notice board here. Few more things to loot just while we're out of sight of the guards. There's another marker up here, so I can just get that to make it a little easier for coming back here if I need to. This is a Horson Jr.'s hideout, which we'll come back to later. And around here there is an armourer, and he does play Gwent, and he does give really good. The armourer and the oh sugar. That was stupid. That was lucky. Don't know how I got away with that, but yeah. Yeah, basically the armourer and the ones in Oxenfurt and Novigrad both give the best prices. Always worth trying to sell to them and hang on to your stuff that you've got a lot of. See, again, you can check if they give good prices of stuff by looking at what they sell lesser Trigalvaroon stones for. And if they sell those for 100, if they buy those for 102, then they're giving you the best prices available until you have Hattori and some of the Tucson armors and things available. So. It does mean prices that they buy things for are linked to the prices that they sell things for as well. So just bear that in mind, that if you're crafting things with them, it'll cost you more than it would do with an equivalent journeyman armourer. This guy has a really good monster deck as well, so good job we got the Biting Frost card there. If we can get ability, then that would be particularly useful. They're going to decoy that spy back. I do have Yennefer, so even if I'm not able to decoy it, that'll be fine. And he's past that there, so hopefully you'll play that decoy quite early in this to round 3. And get him to use the spy in this round. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to use the decoy to try and encourage him to play as many cards as possible. And give them extra turns. Plays the leader card, and that will make him use a clear weather if necessary. And I'll not have to use Yennefer for that now, because I'll just be able to play it here instead. Now if I'm quite lucky here, I'll get a be able to take every single one of those off the row, which will be useful. Okay, so just quite easily forfeit that round, and they'll only have 2 cards left because they'll have the one that it keeps on here and the one that they get the next turn. That by an enormous amount in the third round. So get another card there. That's another Gwent game down. Another little bit of money made as well. And again, it's another random monster card that we just don't need. You know, normally you can't use the monster deck until you get to Skellige, but I bet with all these random wins, I'm actually quite close to being able to use it, even though I'm missing a lot of the really good cards. Let's see how many cards I can get in the monster deck then. Yeah, so I would almost be able to use the monster deck purely from how many I've won from random things. Even though I'm missing nearly all the good cards for it still. Crazy. Of course, you can get to Skellige early if you fancy using the monster deck. It is quite powerful if you have. It's just I find it to be the most boring deck because it's all based around melee, row, and muster. Which is quite powerful, especially if you put Torrential Rain and the Impenetrable Fog cards with it. But it's just not really my favourite. So, okay, so and now we just want to find Tamara while we're here. Might as well get this bit out of the way. And again, interesting bit of backstory and everything here if you're playing for the first time, but right now just going to be skipping through it because I just want to get through as soon as possible. Not particularly bothered about these bits, so we'll get through this, skip all of these bits, and then we'll have to go and try and find her. So there we go. So we've done this bit now. That's pretty much all of the Baron's bits sorted. And then we're going to be going on with Kira's Wandering in the Dark quest. Okay. Again, I always grab any books just because you can sell them to Marcus and the other merchant on Square in Novigrad, and they give you pretty decent prices for them. And it's literally money for nothing, so always worth doing. Grab a bit of everything else there. Okay. I'm going to be carrying on now. Everything sorted that we want to do in Novigrad, in Oxenfurt for the minute. There are some other things that you can do, but not really necessary right now. Got pretty much everything we wanted. I'll just check that I've got the fast travel marker here because it's quite a convenient one as well. There is a fast travel marker further down here, so I'm just going to get that first. Unfortunately though, you can't really stone bits, like you can't speak to Shani or anything. Like there are some things that the expansions let you do, like get the cow card and stuff like that you can do pretty early, but here not so much. So you can't speak to Shani, so you can't get the Allgeared card, which is a shame because you don't get very much chance to use the Allgeared card, really. So that's okay. I could go here and but not really necessary just yet. So I'll just come back to Crow's Perch first. At least you can gallop in here. But yeah, Crow's Perch is very annoying because you have to ride all this way to get to the stash, and that's why I was saying I always use the stash at Novigrad. Although for some reason Roach isn't galloping, which is annoying. That's weird. Roach, what are you doing? Yeah, she's just not galloping at all. That's strange. It does happen sometimes. If it doesn't get fixed next time I sort of summon her with the whistle, then I'll reload because that normally fixes that kind of stuff. So we're just going to talk to the Baron, get everything sorted there. And then go on. And that's for rescuing that guy. The optional bit, when you come back and the barn's on fire, he'll give you that little bit of crowns. If you chose to help out. So pretty inconsequential when we have 3,000 odd crowns, but never mind. So you can choose to help the Baron or not here. As far as I'm aware, I've always chose to help the Baron. It's the earliest place to get a Fiend mutagen for a start, because you fight a Fiend at the end of the Bog quest. So worth doing. Okay, so on we go.
Any news? Your daughter. What the?
Okay, so we've got all that stuff. This might be the bit where you've got to do the Siri quest. Oh, I hope not, because it's really freaking it. Yeah, this is the bit where you have to go do the Siri quest with the Draconid, and it's very annoying.
That lass of yours, pure luck in the flesh. To hunt down a
But yeah, we'll see.
no.
Okay.
Okay, well off we go.
No,
Not
because you shit.
perhaps black.
Skip all this stuff. Got to win a
Well, that
straightforward horse race. As far as I remember, you can just gallop straight forward the whole way, and then you got to fight the basilisk guy afterwards, which is really annoying because it can poison you, and so you have to keep dodging and get your health back up if it does poison you with its spitting attack, which is just a pain in the neck. So we'll have to see how that goes. But after we've done that, we can carry on and do Kira's Wandering in the Dark, which is a really good quest. And also, if you explore quite thoroughly, you get a lot of recipes from it. Alchemy recipes, so hopefully I pick up Hangman's Venom there.
Come on, silly, don't you embarrass us. Your sword is
Okay, so again, you can just block him off if you want. But it's such a short, straightforward little race that you can actually just gallop the whole way, if I remember correctly. I'll test that theory now. Yeah, so you just literally gallop the whole way. Okay. And then you got to fight this stupid little thing, and then that's that. I really don't like this fight. It's a pain in the neck. But again, as with most of the parts where you're playing deathmatch like this with Siri, it's just dodging And that's about pretty much all it comes down to. Assuming it's actually going to load correctly. Which it's really taking its time with.
She screamed.
Okay, there we go.
And they
Okay.
those with can't rather look what up.
Right, well at least I don't have to do that Siri part of it now. So I've just got to go and find out what else is going on. Do Kira's quest and then go and and then after that we'd have the bog quests as well. So
Come on.
on we go. Now again, I could fast travel to Midcops. 100 meters, yards, whatever it is, isn't a particularly long way to go, so I might as well have a bit of a ride on Roach. So this quest of Kira's is quite interesting. The Wandering in the Dark. You have to fight the Wild Hunt General at the end of it. I have got the Elementora recipe from what I remember. And I'll be able to create that as well, so that's good. See, I hadn't saved it at the end of the last episode when I was making the Draconid oil, so when I dismount I'll have to remember to do that as well. So those ghouls are level 9. I could take them on because they're not red skull, so I probably could outdamage them with a bit of patience, but monster nests give a fixed amount of experience points, so you're actually better off leaving monster nests and abandoned sites until as late as possible. So if you want to absolutely maximise your experience, you can in sites and the monster nest until after you've completed the whole game and both expansions, and then they give you the same amount of experience, even though you'll already be higher level from having done all the quests. So that's a good idea.
Take it easy.
Now this is actually Kira's house, so I could go straight there, but I might as well try and kill these neckers while we're here. They give mutagens, which are always useful. Neckers by themselves are not so bad, but they can have they can be pretty tricky if you're fighting a ton of them all at once on Deathmarch. So. Okay, so kill those, grab or whatever they drop. They can drop blue or green, but they don't often or ever drop red. I don't remember them ever dropping red, so. But still worth having. So a bunch of herbs to grab around here. I believe there's a bit of arenaria and things like that as well. And obviously this is Kira Metz. I believe this is arenaria. Yep, there's a little bit of arenaria there. And then we carry on.
Anyone home? Ordinary ointment. Nothing special. Now, where's she run off to? Managed to imagine
So, just going to do Kira's quest.
like this in Velen.
A few things to grab in her basement. She normally has useful stuff. And I believe there's sometimes a recipe to grab, and there is Hangman's Venom, so that's what I wanted. Just check I can make that. Easy to make, but again, arenaria, so always a good one to get. And that's the reason that you want to be picking up some of the rarer stuff in case you ever need it for important recipes or a particularly useful one later. So I'll use that Hangman's Venom when I go down the which I will be doing very shortly. After I've done Wandering in the Dark. Because I'll try and get those recipes from down that coast of Vellum with there being so many things to pick up. And then I'll go and finish off the Baron's quest by going to the bog. The thing that I really want to get is I want to get... I was wanting to get the second level, the enhanced oil for necrophages before I do the Tower of Mice, because virtually all of the enemies there are the necrophages on that island. So there's a lot of rot fiends, a lot of drowners and things like that. And in fact, I'll probably want to get that enhanced necrophage oil before I actually do the other part of the Baron's quest. Because all of the enemies there, the fiend, are again necrophages, so they're drowners or rot fiends or water hags. So when you're going through the swamp with the Baron, lots and lots of necrophages to fight on the way, and the necrophages to fight when you get to the centre. So while you're exploring Crookshank's bog, you really want to have the enhanced necrophage oil, if at all possible, just so that you, just for myself, it's more for convenience. It's just so that I don't have to keep going into the menu and applying just so I don't have to keep going into the menu and applying the oil over and over again. So okay, so we're going to be going here first. Done hunting a witch. There's a alchemy recipe to grab just up here, so I'm just going to get that first. And that's the Ancient Lesson decoction, which I will be wanting to use quite a lot. That's one of my absolute favourite things to. I did have a thought that I would use the Ancient Lesson decoction with the Ard Sweep a little bit later in the game, but you can't get that until the quest is level 22. So unless you want to take on the Ancient Lesson for the Lord of the Wood quest. At a lower level, or when it's a Red Skull enemy, which would make it a lot more difficult, you don't really want to be about level 17 or so, so that's quite a way off yet. With that being so useful though, that's one enemy that I would be tempted to actually try and take on as a Red Skull and see if I can figure out a way to beat it earlier on. So I'll have a look at that later as well. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to pick up here. Don't have the cat potion yet, so I'll just be using a torch while I'm exploring. Make sure you put it away whilst you're fighting, because you from being able to use strong attacks, because they're two-handed strikes, and the torch obviously is using one of your hands because it's held in one of your hands. So good idea to use Igni on these things as well. On the big braziers there. Is that the word? Okay, that doesn't sound like the word. Anyway, you know what I mean. Those things. Another 102 grand. I wanted to sell that. Now, one of the things that you do find around here is foglets, but they should be around my level. But they're still an extremely difficult enemy to take on, so you want to be careful around those. Again, they need necrophage oil. There's a lot of good stuff to loot in here, so you do want to be exploring. But foglets, if you can't knock them down right away, you can knock them out of the mist and get some hits in with Ard, which is very useful to do. And if you have the Moon Dust Bomb, you can stop them from hiding as well. But they do a lot of damage, so you have to be very careful with foglets. See if I can get a foglet mutagen from one of them, because that foglet decoction can be quite... Just going to light these torches as we go, because it's useful to know where you've already been. Now that's actually just progressing and going to be meeting back up with Kira, and I don't want to do that just yet because I want to explore and grab the rest of the stuff first. So mushrooms in this sort of area. which are useful because they're normally only found in sort of darker areas and caves and things like that. So you want to take the opportunity to pick those up in case you need them later. Make sure I'm trying to grab all the chests and that nothing's hidden, because there are a few things sort of stashed away in the corners around here as well. So lots of necrophages and things over here, so just make sure that you've got the oil if you want to be using whilst we're exploring. Bear fat, that'll be useful for making any of the enhanced potions and stuff. So yeah, you can't really parry correctly, and you can't use strong attacks whilst you're holding the torch. So, just worth bearing in mind. Use my Witcher sensors as well to try and find out what's going on. So we've got a water hag there as well, which can be quite annoying enemies. So again, you just want to be dodging, getting those hits in. And if you need to, you can obviously use some potions against them as well. I actually find them throwing things at you more annoying than their actual regular attacks. So if you time the guard correctly, there are certain attacks from drowners that you can parry as well, just like human enemies. It's always worth doing that if at all possible. So you want to leave enemies burning as often as long as you can. I've said that before, but just worth bearing in mind that whilst you're leaving them burning, you can also get behind them and have a better chance at doing a critical strike as well. So there are lots of things that you can take into account with combat that are very useful. So always worth remembering that kind of stuff. So you do get some bear fat from this kind of stuff without having to actually kill bears. So that's something useful because a lot of the enhanced oils need bear fat. In fact, it might be all of them. I think all of the regular oils need a dog tallow, which you can get easily from killing wild dogs or wolves. And all of the enhanced ones need a bear fat, which obviously you have to find, buy, which is quite expensive to buy, or kill bears for. So always worth trying to find them, and they are not red skull enemies on Deathmarch, because that's necessary ingredient there as well. You can get rid of this poisonous gas by either using Igni on it or by using Ard. Ard is safer if it's just Geralt that you're wanting to move the poison gas for. But if there are enemies and you want to try and ignite the gas and set them on fire, then you can try and keep your distance and use Igni there. So just up here usually. Oh, there will be. I know there is one, so I'm just going to find it. There's definitely a chest up this way, I'm sure of it. I'm going to have to find it now because I'm stubborn. Yeah. Put your torch away as well here because it'll ignite the gas as well. So just want to check there's nothing else that I'm missing here. But I think that... Then we're just going to explore in the rest of the cave. There are a few things to pick up there as well. And then get back to Kira and continue with the rest of the quest. There are a few places here where there are enemies to fight. Like the foglets, as I mentioned before. You can try and set them on fire, but my size isn't very high, so I'd probably be better off just using Ard. And whilst it won't knock them down for an insta-kill, it makes it easier to actually hit the foglets. And like I say, they do good damage, so you want to be making sure that you are being respectful of the amount of damage that the foglets can do to you. And if you can get them knocked down, you can sometimes have a chance at an instant kill. So my toxicity has gone down here, so I do have a few mate, and I'm going to use Tawny Owl there. And also Thunderbolt to be able to do a bit of damage to it. And this is why it's very useful to have a sign sort of focus build early on, because it just makes it easier for keeping your Quen up, which I wasn't bothering doing there, because as you can see the Foglets do a pretty reasonable amount of damage. So just going to heal up a little bit. There's no point stacking food items either, by the way. Food, if you only have one piece of food active at a time, so just going to do that. Then meditate just to get those back. Completely pointless box there, one leather strap. No need for that at all. But that's not what we're down here for. We're down here for to explore these sorts of areas, and should probably get another alchemy recipe. I believe there's something else there as well. I'll take a detour that way in just a moment and end up coming back out there. So I'm still missing drowner tongues for the killer whales, so you have to sort of make a decision which one you want to use the drowner tongues for, because a lot of things you can find enough of to make the basic recipes, and there's very little overlap. But with those particular ones, there is a bit of overlap. So need an ENDREGA heart before I can make the enhanced Devil's Puffball, but that's quite a useful bomb, so I'll be on the lookout for that. And I'll need some saltpeter to be able to make the rest of the basic bombs. So yeah, you need 5 drowner tongues to be able to make the killer whale potion, which lets you breathe underwater longer. But you need 4 to be able to make Maribor Forest, which is the adrenaline boost potion. So both of those are quite useful. But 9 drowner tongues is quite a lot early in the game, so you have to sort of make a decision as which you want to make first and which you want to make a little later. For convenience, I normally make the killer whale first, especially because if your toxicity isn't boosted, I'd want to use Tawny Owl, Thunderbolt and Swallow as my main 3 potions with the 100 toxicity most of the time. So I don't often get a chance to use the Maribor Forest potion. Not everything that's here. We came all that way just for a piece of armor. A lot of the time in these sorts of areas in this quest, you will actually get a lot better stuff than that, so it is worth experimenting. And I did get the enhanced puffball recipe, which is much more worthwhile than a piece of armor that I'm not going to use. But so it's still worth exploring a lot of the time. You don't want to miss the recipes because you don't know what's going to be missing. As you saw earlier in that episode when I was in Kira's house, if I hadn't gone into the basement, I would have missed the most throughout the game. And obviously you need the Hangman's Venom to be able to make the superior version as well. The enhanced and superior versions. So always got to be looking around for things, or alternatively just have to be prepared to buy those recipes instead, which will add up to a little bit extra money over the course of a playthrough. You can do either. I always prefer to be exploring and looting anyway. So that's what I normally go with. The famous rats, which if you have enemy upscaling on, can be extremely difficult. As you can see, they can be very tricky enemies, so it's quite funny. But you can get rid of them easy enough with that, so they should be gone now. Okay, so just going to carry on with the quest and continue healing up with water in the meantime. Okay, so we've got to carry on here. There are a few things coming up a little bit later on where you have to fight Elemental and a Golem, and those are a little bit trickier than your average fight, so you have to be careful with those. Okay, so we've come that way already. I wonder if you're looting these monster nests after you've destroyed them. I don't think you do. No, nothing there, but never mind. Why there would be a corpse with pepper there, I have no idea, but want to pick that up, I suppose. See, around this, a little bit careful using Igni around here, because it can cause the gas to ignite when you're trying to fight the wraiths. So you have to be careful with that.
I hardly need instruction from you. I recognized the Volpine morale immediately.
Vesemir told me that soon after he'd learned to he tried it out on a patch of these mushrooms.
Terrible idea. What happened?
Well, he survived. Wounds heal awfully quick on young witchers. Come on.
So I want to be getting away from the gases to be able to fight these things. So you can normally draw them out of the way where the gases aren't, and then beat them there. And take form because I don't have the moon dust bomb yet, because that's one that I've not found yet. And then take them on. And Kira will quite usefully stun things as well. See their mission because Kira had actually stunned it. Actually dodged the wrong way there, but the wraiths don't do a tremendous amount of damage, so able to beat those pretty easily.
Certainly hope we haven't lost our way.
Just wait for this thing to come here. Hopefully it teleports over here so I can hit it without taking it on. Not really worth reapplying the Spectre Oil for just one of them. They're not that troublesome, so... You can easily dodge out of the way of the triple attack that the Spectres do most of the time. And even if not, like I say, you don't have to bother defending against those quite as much because they just don't do a lot of damage compared to a lot of stuff. So they're not among the most dangerous enemies in the game, in my opinion. Incidentally, that's also one of the Uber build doesn't have as much elemental resistance. If you watch my video on how you can get 100% damage resistance against wraiths and ghosts, if they are giving you problems, then you can just use that and use either the feline or viper chests to reduce the elemental damage. So even if I'm using it, I don't often use a feline build because when I'm not on a normal no armor playthrough, I prefer a more balanced sort of style or a tank sort of style. So usually, then I would be using the Griffin armor with cat school techniques, with Griffin school techniques. Sorry, but I always keep the make the feline chest armor and keep it on me because it has a high amount of elemental resistance. So that's very useful. So I just got the recipe for moondust there. I'm just going to see if I can make that. I might be a little bit short of the necessary though. Okay, so I can make enhanced elementals full because I do have some elementals coming up, namely the wild hunt and everything else. So for the bombs, I am missing a saltpeter, so I can't make those right now. It's a bit of a shame, but I'm sure I'll find one soon enough. I've got that enhanced elemental oil, so that's useful as well. Okay, so a few things to cover. Another wraith to be able to fight. Just reapply the Spectre Oil as we go. Early on, if you are using light armor, these trousers can be really useful if you get the assassin's trousers. That 15% slashing damage is resistance, really high, and a bit of bonus vitality as well. So if you were using a light armor setup, heartily recommend those if you get them. Just going to collect all of those. Got the vampire oil there as well, and enhanced hangman's venom, so that's fantastic. So the only one I really want that I don't have now then is going to be the enhanced necrophage oil. So if I don't find that, I will probably buy that one just to have that. So you don't have Kira's assistance to fight these ones. Pretty easy to fight them. They have to get in like all 3 hits for it to be doing good damage really, so not really necessary. Managed to beat those. Again, this is where the convenience of gourmet is quite useful, because instead of having to reuse water every time, or raw meat or any of those, you can just have gourmet on. It heals you for the 20 minutes. So that's why it's such an overpowered skill. It's one less thing to think about. Even if the resources, the amount of resources that it saves becomes pretty irrelevant after you get so many food items, which you can get quite early on, because you get a lot of raw meat and eggs and things like that, as I showed. You'd have enough to be able to heal the vast majority of the time, but it just saves you a little bit of time and saves you from having to just reuse it every time. So still a good idea to have gourmet, and if you are wanting to make the game easier instead of making it more of a challenge, then you can absolutely use gourmet there, and that's why it's one of the really good skills. But at the minute, not finding it particularly necessary. Actually did get a set of horse blinders before I saw them and forgot to equip them, but I don't have anything on roach currently, so I might as well put these ones on, even though they're the only the basic ones. You can buy the Ophiri ones, which give 55 fear level resistance from the Ophiri merchant when you get the saddlebags, but they just make so little difference, and I've never find them making a difference, so I never bother using them, to be perfectly honest, and I just find it's a waste of money early on, whereas the saddlebags to your sort of quality of they call it a quality of life issue, you know, when you're playing, because having those saddlebags I just find extremely useful for that. So okay, so going to carry on here. If you look at any of the wrong glyphs here, it will trigger a fight, so you want to try and avoid that. And you just want to find the Kelpie one, which is actually Ciri's horse and is the thing down here. So don't think there's anything interesting to pick up down here, just that one piece of armor. So we're going to swim down here. And this will skip the quite difficult fight with the Geralt Wraith. So you have to fight a Geralt Wraith and a Kira Wraith if you do that. But if you come this way and do the correct thing, you'll skip that out and not have to fight it. So that's an interesting thing to do on Deathmatch. It's quite an interesting fight if you do fancy taking it on. But I'm quite alright leaving it for now, so just skip that out. Right, so soon we're going to be fighting the Elementers. So there's an Elemental to fight, and then there's a Golem afterwards. I think that's the way it goes. A Gargoyle afterwards. The Gargoyle I actually think is quite a lot harder. Gargoyles can be really tough. They have this Stomp attack that does an absolute ton of damage. So against these things you want to be making sure that I've meditated first. And want to be using the enhanced oil. Yeah, so we're going to be keeping Quen up at all times. And it's unlikely that you have quite a hard time burning these things a lot of the time. So even though I've got all of my skills in fast attacks, it should end up doing more damage with a strong attack, because these things are armoured. So against normal enemies, you might have noticed that a lot of the time, my fast attacks are doing more damage because we have the 5 points in muscle memory and nothing in the strong attack tree. But that's not the case when you're fighting these things because they are armored, and the strong attack ignores armor. So you always want to be using strong attacks against these things. Keep your distance, stay away from that slam attack, and I'm using Thunderbolt and Tony Owl to keep my damage up. And then just monitor the healing with the food in the meantime as well. So extra damage from having the 3 red skill attacks with the werewolf mutagen instead of the gourmet skill. So always worth doing there as well. We've got a golem heart there.
And that would be that.
I managed to take that out with no problems, but that can be a tough enemy. The gargoyle that's coming up I actually think is a little bit more difficult. We can get the enhanced Hangman's Venom now as well, so we've got bear fat for that. And we've got a Necker Eye, so we can use that too. And we can make the vampire oil pretty easily there too. Again, mistletoe, one of the rarer things. I got those from the visits to the Peller's dwelling as well. So in the graveyard near the Peller's, you can get some mistletoe. So that's one of the useful things that you can get there. Always worth a trip whenever you go there just to pick up a couple of mistletoe. And then we've got Golden Oriole, which is again a useful potion and is the one that will protect you from poisoning, and the higher level ones are very useful for that as well. So we've got a light essence, we're going to use that. Immunity to poisons, and if you use the potion then it neutralizes the effect straight away. The superior Golden Oriole is absolutely fantastic because it actually turns that into healing, and so you can use your own Devil's Puffball to poison yourself, stand in the poison cloud, and then use that to use that to have like an extra healing as well as your swallow and everything else. So that's a really good potion, and one of the interesting instances, example of how you the tactics in The Witcher 3, which makes it, you know, such a good game with so much depth to it. So that's why I really like it. So again, bear fat, Genacia petals. We can make the Ogrod oil. So you do find a lot of the different useful things during this quest. So let me just have a look. Just want to top up the elemental oil.
Got that feeling again?
We've got to take these things out. So that stomping attack that the gargoyle does is extremely dangerous. And I want to make sure that I have Tony Owl at all times, because these things are really dangerous. And again, you don't do very good damage with any of your fast attacks. You want strong attacks against these things. So you see the difference there. So that's even with all my skills, I have 180 something damage with the fast attacks. So these things are all about strong attacks, which is still doing like 250, 260 a hit. And even more than that on a crit, because strong attacks ignore armor. So if that had done any hits, I would have been able to show you the massive amount of damage they can do. I didn't take any hits, so I didn't have to. So split bolts, broadhead bolts, which are extremely useful. 10 saltpeter, which is massive because that's what we need to be able to make the basic bombs. So sometimes it's really useful to go out of your way to try and get that kind of stuff, because now you can see that I can make all of these bombs and they're all extremely useful. So okay, so made pretty much everything I want to be making at this point. And there's nothing else there particular I need to be doing. The Northern Wind Bomb is extremely useful. that, as far as I'm aware, you never actually find the like you can find everything normally in the game, but with the Northern Wind ones you have to actually buy them, so that's quite interesting. You have to actually buy the recipes for that, and the superior one costs about 700 crowns, so they're not cheap, but they are extremely worth it. They're among the best bombs. And freezing does all kinds of interesting things, like if you freeze and then punch somebody, it does massive damage. So if you're doing a no swords playthrough, which is probably possible, it's definitely possible, I know it is possible, but that would be something you'd have to look into there, so because that would make things a lot quicker that way. So it's useful that one of the random recipes that I found was the enhanced elemental oil, because I'll be able to use that for the wild hunt and the boss that you have to fight at the end of this quest. And it's why it's extremely useful to try and get a bit of preparation before you do this quest, because some people find the boss quite difficult if you just run and go into this without being properly prepared. Right, so this is the bit where we have to do the boss and everything else. Could do with me do this if it lets me, but it might not do now. The Wild Hunt are so cool before they take their helmets off. It's such a letdown, but never mind. They're much more menacing before that, particularly Eridin and Imlereth, but... Unfortunately, I don't have the Dimeritium bomb yet because I didn't choose to actually buy that, so... Be a little bit light on potions. So I'll just have to make do with what I've got. At least we do have the enhanced oil. If you have the Dimeritium bombs, you can just chuck them at these portals. But I haven't found the recipe yet, and I didn't want to spend the couple of 100 crowns on that, so I'll just have to take them out the long way. I would recommend that normally you usually you eat first so that you have your potions back, but I'll just have to do this the hard way for now. So these things are going down relatively easily. And if you can keep Erden up, they are a little bit slower and easier to hit. So if you keep Erden up in this area here, then you'll normally be alright. Because they get that little bit of slowdown, it just makes them easier to avoid and get hits on. So with the skills we've got, you can see that they're not too difficult to deal with. Especially with the enhanced elemental oil, add in that little bit of damage, and then you can get the poisoning with the Viper swords. And they'll die for longer without the Dimeritium bombs. It's not necessarily hard or difficult or anything like that when you can do so much damage with the fast attacks. It's just the length of time it takes Kira to close the portals, so... Whoops. Come on, Kira. Yeah, so if you have a diamond straight at the portal and it'll close it, but I don't have those yet, sadly. Again, before you actually get into what is technically combat, you can put an Erden trap down and just try and keep that down. When your elemental oil runs out, just try and remember to put it back on, which I'm not having to do as frequently because I have the enhanced version, so that's useful. Again, just wait for them to come into the Erden trap, and then when they're a bit slowed down, get some hits in. Makes it useful. And the quick hits, especially with the poison from the Viper Sword, making quite sure. And they're not doing massive damage anyway, so. Okay, so got the 2 of those closed, just got the last one to do. And I'll have the luxury of using my potions for this as well. So it should make even because I can meditate afterwards. Okay, so we've got these things to take out. Try and get some fire damage on them as well. Just be mindful of the need to heal if it arises. And again, things go a lot quicker and smoother if you have Tony Owl, which is why when you get the higher level versions, it's so good. The superior killer is amazing, and stamina regeneration makes a huge amount of difference. So it's very worth learning how to manipulate the stamina bar. Make sure that you're not guarding unnecessarily, because that makes it a lot slower. Okay, so that should be that bit sorted. Skip that, and then there we go. Okay, so just before I forget, want to make sure that I'm just restocking, because I believe we've got the boss to come very shortly. There are a few things that you can pick up in this room, but nothing with alchemy recipes as far as I'm aware. Just a couple of chests with stuff like water and stuff like that in. But just worth having a quick run around and double check. My memory is good, but not always perfect, so let's have a look. Yeah, we might not. Oh, want to catch on Caranthe like this. He's hard enough on Deathmarch when you're like level 30. One of the arguments for playing New Game Plus is obviously this is a video game, so it has to have the mechanic of it getting harder as you go. But in terms of the actual lore and everything else, Geralt is like a master witcher, so you know, he, even though he does take on very difficult enemies and things like that, he is, you know, a very powerful and experienced witcher. So to potions or no skills or anything like that, and him struggling to take on a pack of wolves is a bit lore wise doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's why New Game Plus is quite fun, because the enemies are a lot higher level, but it's like you start with all of your gear and everything else as well, which is, I think, a little more fitting. And that's one of the things that PC mods have done as well, is some of the mods on PC make it so that it gets rid of the experience system. Now, I personally demand the game, obviously. It's one of my favourite aspects of it. But you can understand why it's interesting to play a playthrough that doesn't involve a leveling system and has Geralt being like, you know, a witcher with all of his skills from the start. And on console, the New Game Plus can actually, you know, simulate that to some extent. So that's an interesting thing to have. Get my necrophage oil on to fight this foglet. You have to sort of watch the fog and watch for him coming out. Try and guess when it's in range and get some good hits in it like that before it can retaliate. So that's good. Get some hits on the actual main foglet if you can. Strikes. See, they do a lot of damage in a hurry, so you can need to be careful sometimes. I'm actually just going to use my potions now because I want to have full potions when I actually go into the boss, so might as well have those at the minute as well. Okay, so I managed to take that out. Haven't got a foglet mutagen yet, which is a bit of a shame, because like I say, the foglet decoction is very useful just for being able to what's the word? Get that 25% boost, because in the regular game, like in Velen and Novigrad and everything else, it always counts as being cloudy. So you always get the 25% boost. It doesn't always in Toussaint. They sort of fixed it in Toussaint, weirdly. So yeah, going to put the will on in preparation there. And the Moondust bomb won't be particularly useful in this fight. So I'm just going to put on a different bomb instead. Just have the grape shot. And try and do a little bit of damage there, if needed. Never actually used the grape shot against the boss, but it'll be an interesting one. So might as well use that. So, finish off this quest with a... And again, you have to be quite careful. Try and take out the Wild Hunt, Hounds of the Wild Hunt first while he restocks his energy. You have to knock his health bar down a couple of times. And be careful when you are fighting him, so... Yeah. Stop telling me what to do. So again, you see there we did 283 with a critical hit strong attack, and even though we have the muscle memory skills, are doing a lot more with strong attacks because because the boss has armor. So there are only a few enemies that do have armor, but you do want to try and be mindful of the fact that you want to use the strong attacks against them. So the fast attack's doing tons of damage here against the Hounds of the Wild Hunt, but you want to be using strong attacks against. So you see there, it did 305 damage there, with a strong attack against the Hound, whereas the actual fast attacks are doing not much less than that because the Hounds have no armor. But against the actual boss himself, it's a different story. So it's not letting me use my weapon, which is strange. Which is going to make this a little bit trickier. I don't know why it's not. In fact, the D-pad's just not working properly there. So, alright, okay. Sorting my D-pad out. Should be alright now. Get a bit of extra stamina regeneration. Let's check I can use Thunderbolt as well. And get some extra damage on him as well. I've actually somehow got Nithrol trapped in the corner, which is kind of cool. So he's going to regenerate. And I'm almost out of elemental oil, so I'll just have to restock that in a minute. Try and take these out early before they can get anything going. I've got my adrenaline maxed as well at the minute, so getting an extra 10% damage per adrenaline point. So 30% extra damage there, which is useful. And then we're just going to take him out. And again, make good use of that. So the Thunderbolt, any time you can get behind him, get critical hits in. And just watch out for his axe attacks. Erden will slow him down a little bit as well. And Kira will sometimes stun him as well and help take him out. So that was a pretty example of how you ideally want to fight that boss. Okay. Cockatrice decoction, not a particularly useful one. It takes up a lot of toxicity, but it does give you one extra potion use of every potion, which can be useful early on, but again, you're using 70 toxicity to do that when you could just be using a different, more useful decoction in and of itself with that toxicity. So not my favourite, but again, not too bad. So we're just going to finish this quest off, and one of the things you really want to make sure you do is right after this, Kira gets the magic lamp, and you want to do the little thing she asked you about right away. I'll show that in a minute. And the reason for that is I believe that is the only opportunity you get to get the place of power when you're down there. So we're going to do that right away. Got another foglet to fight first. So we're just gonna grab this stuff.
Must have burned these notes himself. The hunt wouldn't have bothered.
Meaning he knew they were looking
The Ladies of the Wood quest, which is where we'll go to try and find Anna.
since he saw a use for it.
And we're just gonna get the
Mage herbalist. Mysterious mage herbalist. Strange.
eye that we need now. So we're getting a Helene's eye.
What's with this wall?
And then we'll be able to go through and just pick up a little extra thing first. Now that we have the Eye of Nehelene, fight a Foglet, get another alchemy recipe on, and get the Place of Power from doing the little subquest part here as well. So this one's just a regular hard wall. We'll knock that out.
To use the eye.
But this uses the eye, so. Maybe it's not a Foglet, maybe it's Wraiths actually looking at this. But yeah, definitely some other pickups to get. Another lesser Triglav runestone. It's extremely dark, I can't really tell where I'm going. Let's use the mini-map a bit. Your Witcher sensors will show you interesting things to pick up regardless usually. So that's always useful. But it is extremely dark here and I don't have the cat potion yet, so I just have to watch out for that. Is this where I came from? Or is this something different? This is different. Now if you have the potions to hand, it can be very useful against Foglets, as we were saying before. Get a few hits in on them. And especially if you can knock them down. If your sign intensity is high enough, you can actually knock them down long enough to get an instant kill on. But most of the time it's just useful for stunning them, taking them out of their usual state. And that's another thing that causes a lot of confusion, is before the DLCs were done, in the base game one of the random weapons you is Arendite. Which confuses, you know, obviously having the normal Arendite and the special one that you can get. So the advantage of me having that, I could use this, let me have a look. Critical hit damage while Hunt Warrior's Sword. Adrenaline point gain, critical hit damage. I've already put a Divana Runestone in my Viper Steel Sword, so I think I'll just stick with that for now. But that is a useful sword with a bit of critical hit damage and adrenaline point gain, so I might keep that. And Arendite, it's actually got a slightly lower damage than the Viper Sword. So the only advantage would be being able to put 3 runes in that. So might be worth using, but I'm just going to hold off on it for just a sec. Just see if there are any other chests or anything down here that I've missed. My Witcher senses would show them up, even though it's extremely dark. Pretty hard to see normally. Explore the map. I get the feeling there might be one over this side that I've missed that's tucked away in a nook or cranny. But not seeing it right now, so hopefully not. Okay. Ah, I knew there was one somewhere. I just did see the flash of yellow, but now I can't see where it's gone. Let's have a see. Where is that? Ah, that's the door that I came in at, so that's the way out, that's all fine. Okay, so just gonna grab the rest of this stuff and move on, and then we're gonna get the Place of Power, and then it might be where I call it a day for that episode. Quite a long one, almost 2 hours. So In fact, it will be 2 hours by the time I've done this stuff. Got the place of power and beat the golem, so always interesting. So this is the bit here. You can just carry on and go outside if you want, but she wants the magic lamp, so you want to do this. So it's a good idea to help her out with this.
Looks like another dam.
That's Wandering in the Dark done. You've got a riddle here to work out.
Give me
Just
full guardian. The first to light his fire dared not march on the end. The second by the first.
Right, so the first one is in the middle and doesn't have a harp. The second one
Close to his
is next to him and does have a harp. Has a beast
not beside the first, yet and that
and also has a harp. So if you can do this properly, then you can do it without triggering any other wraiths. There's no point fighting the wraiths because they don't even give you mutagens or anything.
behind that wall. A movement.
So that's the first, the second. The third one has a beast, and the second one does not play a harp, I think.
That inscription again.
four guardians, four flames held in a line.
So that's the first, that's the second because he has a harp.
Fire dared not march on the end. The second beside the first.
The third kept close to his fourth.
The third kept close to his faithful beast. The fourth
So does the fourth have a harp or not?
yet like the second played a tune. And
Right, so the fourth plays a tune. So this guy doesn't, so this guy must be third. And then this guy is fourth.
whose grave is
Okay, so we get this stuff here as well. Get the magic lamp. And this is the opportunity that you must take to get the place of power. I believe people have said, now I've never done it because I always do this quest straight away because it only takes a couple of minutes. But I believe that you can actually permanently miss this door can be sealed. So you just need to be careful, make sure you get it now. Even if you don't feel like taking on the elemental or the golem or whatever it is. I think it's an elemental. So we're just going to take it on anyway. Because I want the recipes and the other stuff that's there, so... Elemental oil. No potions, so I'm just going to meditate first. Because we've so much now that you should be using potions every fight, really, to make it easier.
Damn, you're ugly.
Damn, you're ugly. Yeah, you tell him, girl. So take this thing out. Again, we'll only be using heavy strikes. Keeping Quinn up at all times. Because these things hit really hard. So if you've got to mix it up with them, make sure you do it whilst having Quinn on. And using strong attacks wherever possible. If you need to back off and be a little more patient than I am being, then you can do. Because they hit really, really hard. Especially if you get trapped in a corner like that. And that's why it's no fun sometimes with those, so... Just actually healing up there, but my toxicity is a bit high now, so just need to hold off using the potions for a sec. And now, ironically, he's also trapped in the corner as well. And that's why you need to be really careful with the elementals and stuff. Because they do hit extremely hard, so it's a bit unfortunate I got trapped in the corner, but managed to get through it. And right, so that one was actually a golem. Get a golem heart, which is also useful because you need those for things later on as well. Certain recipes call for golem hearts, and they're quite rare. And then we can also get the enhanced hybrid oil and a couple of rune stones. So well worth doing. Got another recipe there as well. It's showing as there's something else to grab, so that's there. You can see that the marker on the map there was still bright white instead of greyed out, and that meant that I hadn't collected everything there, so you can always look at that and know what's going on. So got that place of power, and now I have 3 ability points, so I could start putting them into something else if I wanted. So I could have fleet-footed or something like that. or I could get crushing blows or precise hits or one of those. So a couple of things we could do there. What I actually think I'll do is, now I've got this, ability. I could get either poison blades or acquired tolerance, or I could start getting some sign skills, which can be relatively useful as well. So lots of things to do there. I'll make that decision later. I'll just put gourmet back on for convenience at the minute because I've already got that. And I'll have a think about what I'm going to do next time. I probably want to start going into the alchemy tree, I think. So that's all completed there. And that's Kira's quest all done. Wandering in the dark. With I got a ton of alchemy recipes there as well. Just check if there's anything else that I need to be making. Nothing I really need right now. And then that should be a checkpoint. So thank you very much for watching. If you stuck with me the whole 2 hours for this one, I really appreciate it. And please like, comment and subscribe, because I will be carrying on with this playthrough and everything else. Another very enjoyable quest there. Bit of a shame that I had my first death, but haven't died to anything that's not a 4 red square in a small room, so I can forgive myself for that. And if they hadn't have been regenerating ghouls, then I would have been alright. But yeah, that's why it's sometimes a bit dangerous to take on red skull things on deathmatch with no armour. So yeah. Anyway, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next time on the path. Thank you very much.